You want some games?
Oh wow, haunted games! That's exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, well, you're in luck, pal. We got some farm fresh haunted games for you. We got your favorites. Mario, Zelda.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'll take Mario.
Hey, whoa. Hey, man, you can't just take that. I have a family to feed, it ain't free. Come on, man, making these farm fresh haunted games ain't easy.
Dude, what the heck? Dude, I can literally see it says Star Fox on it. This isn't Mario. It should be just free.
$25.
Fine, I'll just... Alright, well, I went through all that. Let's just see how Mario is. It, doesn't work. Just kidding, it's Fire Emblem! Creepypasta. A phrase that's probably been used once about some unnerving plate of spaghetti, but is mostly used to describe internet horror stories. These stories can be about video games, supernatural events, or even about the scariest thing, real life. But all have one thing in common: trying to scare you. Emphasis on try. Now these have been around for a long while and still have a prominent community today, but the ones I'm specifically talking about are the old school creepypastas released around the early 2010s. This was a strange era where any random kid with access to Microsoft Word could just sit down and squirt out some edgy creepypasta about a haunted video game and somehow still get covered by a major channel. Everything was super edgy, like any subtlety was just thrown out the window to make room for all the hyper-realistic blood these things needed. And being that I was an edgy teen with a lot of time on my hands, I absolutely loved these. I used to spend hours just sifting through all these random stories in the hopes that I might find something interesting. They just really kept my attention for some reason, and were just cringy enough to not scare me. It was the perfect thing for a baby that was scared of Luigi's Mansion as a kid like me. No matter the quality, they were always entertaining at the least. Obviously, over time, the glut of poorly written creepypastas flooded the market and pretty much ruined the entire concept for a bit, but trust me, while it was popular, it was a magical time. That being said, it's been a good 6 years since I've even touched most of these things, and so I thought it'd be fun to take a look back at some of the ones I read as a kid. I could never completely cover everything, as there's just far too many to fit into one video, but hey, that's what the comment section is for. Go ahead and give me some of your personal favorites. For now though, we're mostly sticking to the ones I grew up with. Let's start with the one I remember most prominently, the Tails doll. The story went like this. In the Sega Saturn game Sonic R, there existed a curse. If you managed to unlock all the characters in the game, Super Sonic included, and played the tag mode as Tails doll and tagged all the characters in a specific order, the curse would be activated. After this, in the dead of night, the Tails doll would escape the TV and... well, there were a lot of interpretations. Slice you into pieces, steal your soul, just generally kill you, there were a lot of variations. My favorite was a creepypasta I read as a kid where it said that none of us understood just how scary the Tails doll was. Why was he so scary? Well, he had a gun. I'm shaking just thinking about it. The concept of this thing wasn't really scary at all and really kinda dumb. I was terrified of this thing as a kid. Well, there goes my reputation. But no, seriously, both I and my friend MJ were absolutely terrified of him as a child. The idea of it coming out of the TV used to keep me up at night. Sure, it was really dumb, but so was I. Fun little side note. Once I was playing the game Photo Dojo on my friend MJ's DSi, and I made Tails doll as a character. The first time I played as him though, the game started glitching out and I decided I was having none of that and deleted it immediately. This creepypasta was a little wild because a lot of people just kinda took the concept and made their own stories with it, which, as you'd guess, led to, well, let's just say a wide range of quality. Despite this, and despite how dumb the whole concept could be, I've really never gotten away from it. Here's me posting about it on Miiverse for some reason. That's great. Regardless, I can still kind of understand why it creeped me out as a kid. I mean, it was conceptually rather new to me, and this was one of the few creepypastas where the story implied an actual potential danger to the people outside the story. That and the Tails doll has a gun. Guys, I'm scared. Moving from that to something Sonic related that didn't scare me at all, Sonic.exe. Guy gets a disc with this bizarre version of Sonic 1 on it, finds out, hey, this isn't Sonic 1, and then Sonic just kinda, I don't know, gets Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman, I guess? Yeah, this one never really did much for me. It always seemed like it was just edgy for the sake of being edgy, and the ending where Sonic is apparently going to go after the guy in real life is pretty much the icing on this poorly written cake. Make no mistake, Sonic.exe isn't really well written, but it also isn't entertainingly bad either. It's just kind of boring? And long too, honestly. It's never really scared me as a kid, and now it's just kind of lame to go back to. But it did give me the line, "But as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared." So there's that. Pokemon had an absolute ton of creepypastas, and most of them weren't good. Like, more than half of them were just a guy finding a weird copy of an old Pokemon game and some mildly spooky stuff happening in said game. Not very scary. I do remember a couple of them that weren't like that, though. The most well-known one is probably Lavender Town Syndrome. It was a creepypasta that asserted that in the original version of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green, the Lavender Town theme was actually dangerous, able to cause headaches, nausea, and even cause some kids to, take a long nap. This was obviously bogus, but it was at least rather interesting and unique for a creepypasta, and managed to single-handedly make Lavender Town into a pretty legendary place in Pokemon. I actually like the Lavender Town theme nowadays, but when I was a kid it freaked me out so much that I used to turn this sound off every time I entered Lavender Town. I was a baby. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have a creepypasta nobody but me remembers, Nurse Joy. It was this horrendously written gore fest that essentially just says that the way Nurse Joy gets new sisters is by kidnapping random trainers, butchering them, and then dropping her patented Nurse Joy DNA onto them to make another Nurse Joy. This story is terrible, but in all the right ways. I was laughing through the entire thing while listening to it again. And how could I not? It straight up says she collects the blood so she can, quote-unquote, save it for later in case she gets thirsty. The whole thing is written like this, and it's straight up hilarious. Give it a listen if you need a good laugh. You guys know what's terrifying? Ronald McDonald. I'm serious, look at this guy, he's horrifying. And it just so happens there's a story written about him, kinda. Ronald McDonald House is equal parts good and bad. It features a kid who, after being so terrible that he exhausts almost every other option for housing, is sent to the Ronald McDonald House Foundation, an organization that supposedly is housing kids in a bad situation. When he arrives, however, the place is not great, and they're basically a bunch of bloodthirsty psychos. The concept is about as dumb as it sounds, but it's rather surprising how good of an atmosphere it establishes. Like, genuinely, if you can get past the rather dumb concept, it's kind of entertaining. You know what's also got a dumb concept with somehow even worse writing? Jeff the Killer. It's genuinely surprising just how popular this got, considering how nonsense the story is. Jeff beats up a bunch of bullies with his kung fu ninja moves, and his brother ends up going to jail because he takes the blame. Jeffy boy ends up going to a party where, big shock, those same bullies show up. They end up getting alcohol and bleach on him, and then setting him on fire? Somehow this causes his skin to bleach white and his lips to burn red, because that makes perfect sense. Jeff then just kinda goes nuts, cuts his face up, and then kills his whole family with basically no build-up. It's a terribly written story, but boy is it weirdly entertaining because of that. I'd really recommend reading it again. It's really quite a treat in a terrible, cringy kind of way. Let's go over a bunch of creepypastas rapid fire that I have very little to say about, but still want to mention. Abandoned by Disney starts off cool, but ruins it by the end. The whole urban exploration part of the story is super neat, and the story is fairly descriptive, but the whole dumb Mickey Mouse costume coming to life and removing its head just feels kind of forced and ruins the story. Anthrum is a neat, living doll android story that's very surreal and rather interesting, even if the characters in it make some borderline nonsensical decisions from time to time. Squidward's long nap. Cool concept, and one of the first of its kind, but a lot of its elements became common cliches in the genre down the line, ruining a lot of its impact now. Kinda crazy they referenced this in an official SpongeBob episode though. The Killwaker. Absolute garbage. Literally almost nothing is good about it. Check it out, it's hilarious. Candle Cove. Neat concept, neat execution, just overall pretty neat. Tails doll with a gun. Absolutely terrifying. I legit cried. As you can probably tell, there are tons of these things. So many of them are just terrible, and so many have so many cliches that it's not even funny. One of the few exceptions was Ben Drowned. This story had everything. It had a brilliant atmosphere, it had a concept that was at the time really unique, it was actually somewhat creepy, and it even had actual footage to go along with the story. Like seriously, even despite a couple cliches, the story is really neat, and I'd highly recommend looking into it if you haven't already. I'd say personally it's probably the best creepypasta that came from that time. It's really weird that I don't have much to say about it, but honestly, that might be because most of this video has just been making fun of the other creepypastas, and there's really not much to make fun of here. It's genuinely just really cool. Of course, not long after Ben drowned, everything kinda just fell apart. Part of it was due to the overabundance of poorly written stories, part of it was due to the overabundance of cliches, part of it was just people getting way too into it and forming borderline creepy obsessions with some of the characters. Seriously, look at this and tell me you'd want to have any part of Creepypastas after seeing it. While I certainly loved them for a time, there's clearly a reason why the genre died for a while. It was certainly fun to look back at these things though. Like, I genuinely enjoyed looking back and seeing all these things I used to enjoy as a kid. What wasn't as fun was finding things like this while editing a video. This is the Slenderman, a demonic being, and a kid. You know what? I'm done. I'm out. I'm done.